Around 30 to 35 million quid looks like the amount of money that will take him away from Selhurst Park.
He's got all the makings of a top player.
Therefore, they would have to then make a sale for them to get involved.
And if you add another one into the equation, I could see them upsetting Glasner to the point where he goes.
Obviously, the other thing that's important to remember, that it is quite funny. Hello and welcome to Transfers Exposed. I'm Will Pugh. That right there is football broadcaster Harry Symeou. Harry, wonderful to have you back in the studio, mate. How's it going?
Thanks for having me, mate. All good, all good. This is, of course, your exclusive press pass to all the biggest transfer stories straight from the Sunsport newsroom.
Absolutely, mate. Some huge deals getting done as we get closer to the deadline on September the 1st. And we are with you on Transfers Exposed every Tuesday and Friday until that day, breaking down all the facts and figures of the biggest deals as they happen.
And in this video, we're talking about Crystal Palace and Real Madrid, who have an interest in Adam Wharton.
Yeah, huge story, this one, Harry. Obviously, as you are an Arsenal fan, it would be remiss of me, before we speak about Adam Wharton, to not talk about the Eberechi Eze transfer incoming. Obviously, Arsenal are about to get one of the best players in the Premier League, certainly the best forwards. But not only that, you've also given two fingers to your bitter rivals Tottenham Hotspurs in the process. Is there a better transfer?
I think you can tell by the smile on my face that I've really enjoyed the way this one has materialised and come about. Look,
You're more
Eberechi
buzzing
Eze,
Tottenham haven't got him than you are you getting him.
Look, listen, we've wanted Eze for a while. I think the Arsenal fan base have been kind of united and unanimous in the idea that he would come in and give us something that we're missing. Bit more creativity, bit of spontaneity in the final third. He'll bring goals and assists, all of that brilliant stuff. Yep. But I think over the last couple of weeks, we started to get the sense that maybe this wasn't going to happen.
Yeah.
And with Tottenham sort of accelerating their interest and getting...
Well, they've done the deal, didn't they?
Exactly. They did the deal. They got to the point where it was only a case of kind of, dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and then in swoop Arsenal. Now, there's a bit of debate around as to whether Arsenal would have done this had Kai Havertz not sustained this knee injury, which we don't really know the full extent of at the moment. But I think the way this has come about, the way that we've kind of swept in and just taken him away, Arsenal was always his preference.
That's so important to remember, isn't it? Yeah, and obviously the other thing that's important to remember, that it is quite funny, isn't it? Tottenham have been giving it these ones about Mohamed Kudus. He's the next best thing since sliced bread. I'm a West Ham fan, of course, so I think it's a bit of a laugh that Arsenal have got him. Let's talk about Adam Wharton, Harry. A huge story, this one. Obviously sort of got under the radar a little bit at Crystal Palace this summer, particularly Marc Guéhi. Looks like he'll be off. He's only got a year left on his deal. Palace quite keen to cash in. Around 30 to 35 million quid looks like the amount of money that will take him away from Selhurst Park. Eze, as we've mentioned already, so that could be about 90 to 100 million in total incomings for Palace this window. They are not in a rush to sell Adam Wharton at all. Manchester United, Man City and Liverpool have all expressed an interest in the past and are definitely keeping tabs on his situation. Played for England, of course, only 21. Really great talented midfield player. But Real Madrid are now in for him. The Xabi Alonso at the Club World Cup, he was sort of fuming with the lacklustre nature of his midfield. Yet he's got Jude Bellingham, Eduardo Camavinga, Fede Valverde, Tchouaméni and Dani Ceballos on his books. He's sort of blessed with an embarrassment of riches. But the reports coming out of Spain today suggest that he thinks he could be the new Luka Modrić, which is some praise indeed. What do you make of this one? Yeah,
I mean, Adam Wharton's a top talent, and he's almost kind of got that continental feel to him in terms of the way he plays the game. So you're not surprised that, somebody like Real Madrid would be looking at Adam Wharton. I think for me, it's probably a little bit too early in his career to make a move like that. If I were in his shoes, though, and Real Madrid came calling, I don't think I'd be able to say no or to say, let me just put this on ice and give it another year. But just my personal view is that have another season in the Premier League and you really will be equipped and ready to go and make a move like that. As I say, I'm not surprised that Real Madrid are interested. I think he's got all the makings of a top player. From a Crystal Palace point of view, I just wonder if they can afford to let this happen this summer because... Eze's gone. Guéhi probably goes. It feels like too much turnover. And Oliver Glasner has been very, very vocal about the fact that they haven't taken steps as a football club yet to deal with these departures that have already happened, could still happen. And if you add another one into the equation, I could see them upsetting Glasner to the point where he goes. And for me,
you think?
Yeah, because if you look back at his history, at previous clubs, he's been very, very vocal when he's not got what he wanted, when the club's ambition doesn't necessarily align with his. And I think if you're Oliver Glasner, if a big job comes up in the first half of this season, he's the primary candidate.
Yeah.
Let's say, and I'm just using this as an example, I don't think it will happen, but let's say Man United were to part ways with Ruben Amorim. If you're looking within the Premier League, Glasner's the best fit.
Yeah, sure.
Glasner's the guy. He's been so good. He's done amazing things.
He's done amazing things at Eintracht Frankfurt, didn't he? Won the Europa League with them, of course. Comes over here, wins the FA Cup with Crystal Palace, gets them into Europe. They're demoted to the tertiary competition. Wonderful storied competition tournament, though the Conference League is. He's done absolutely amazing things there. And I do understand what you mean. I think Palace are in an unenviable position in a way, especially with Eze. He's one of the best players in the league. There's a sort of a bit of an acknowledgement that was always going to happen. He's been there a long time. He's given them years of unblemished service almost. Guéhi makes sense as well. Why wouldn't they cash in him this year? They did well to hold on to him last year. They dug their heels and stuck to their valuation. The information coming out of Crystal Palace at the moment, his contract expires in 2029, so 4 years left on that deal, only 21, like you mentioned. £70 million, they wouldn't even pick up the phone for anything less than that. However, Real Madrid do like him, and Alonso, like I say, he's looking for that sort of deep line playmaker, but the Real Madrid sense is very much in line with what you just said, in that probably a little bit too soon now, and they wouldn't hate it whatsoever if he stayed on at Palace for another season and then develops a little bit more game time, which he would struggle to get at Real Madrid, wouldn't he? But another season, 22, then a little bit more experience, another few Premier League games under his belt, and he would be the one. They obviously, Real Madrid as well, have some sort of difficulties around transfers and like incomings and outgoings themselves. They've already signed Trent Alexander-Arnold, Dean Howson, Franco Mastratuono, and Alvaro Carreras. Mastratuono, I'm not sure I've got that pronunciation right at all. But the only way they would go for him this window is what we're hearing out of Spain at the moment, is that if someone else goes for him, maybe a Manchester United or a Liverpool or Manchester City, who've all expressed interest before, therefore they would have to then make a sale for them to get involved. That would most likely be Rodrigo. We covered on Transfers Exposed already. City like the look of him. If Savinho goes, that seems to be the only way anything would happen this window. Better for all parties, probably, including club and player. Maybe not player, to be fair, but including club certainly, and Real Madrid, if it goes on for another 6 months, probably a year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of those difficult ones where you're looking at a player like Adam Wharton. You can clearly see he's got all the talent in the world. If you're Real Madrid, you probably, as you say, think that maybe a year down the line this would be perfect. But if there's competition, that can spark you into action, can't it? We've seen that many, many times. The thing is, Real Madrid tend to identify players, get in their ears, and hope that they can sort of catch them at a point where their contract is either coming up to its expiration or is running close to that, so that they can take advantage of that. If you look at it, Real Madrid have spent big money on players over the years, and they always will, because they're the biggest football club on earth. But there is plenty of examples where they've kind of just bided their time and done the deal on terms that suit them. With Adam Wharton having 4 years left on his contract, they're not in that position. So I think when they do come in and when they do make this offer, if that is what's going to happen, they have to be absolutely sure that he's ready.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm sort of toying with in my mind here. If you're going to have to pay £70 million for Adam Wharton at 21 years old, you want to be absolutely certain that he's ready to come in and have an impact. And maybe that's why this is something that will be put on ice for a bit.
What can you see Palace doing this season? Like, as in, if Guéhi goes, which you expect, Eze's gone already, obviously had a good win in Europe to kick off their Conference League campaign. Mateta, who I don't understand how no one's come in for him. I think given the sort of premium on number 9s at the moment and how many teams are desperate for one, I'd be absolutely delighted to have him at West Ham. I'm stunned that no one's come in for him in a serious fashion this summer. You're totally right about them needing to hold on to Wharton and players like Mateta. Assuming Guéhi and Eze go, What do you think for Palace this season is realistic?
I think Oliver Glasner's too good a coach for them to get dragged into the relegation battle. So I don't think that's anything that Crystal Palace have to worry about. I fancy them to have a good crack at the Europa Conference League. I think they
should really.
They should. They're at Selhurst Park, where it can be very atmospheric, and I think on those European nights, which is something new for the Palace supporters as well, it will be quite special. So I fancy them to go far in that. In terms of the league,
it's a lot of games to manage, though, isn't it? And you can't be losing players out your squad.
That's exactly the point. And I think they will do business, by the way, between now and the end of the transfer window. I think they'll probably try and bring 3 or 4 players in. Whether those deals will work out for them in terms of how those players get on.
Bilal El Khanous from Leicester, I think they'd like the look
signing.
of. Yeah, Jeremy Pino from Villarreal, I think.
Another one.
Yeah, there's a few names out there that they're sort of in discussions about at the moment. And Zolis, I think, from Club Brugge as well, who played the other night against Rangers. So they're having a look about, I think, they're casting the net wide is the term. So I think you're right.
Yeah, absolutely. And they have to, don't they? And I think they will replace the numbers, but I think Oliver Glasner, as he's been saying, is very keen to bring in the right profiles of players. They'd have known that there was a chance Eze was going for a while. So I'm sure they would have done some work on that in the background. And Guéhi as well. These are not transfers that will come as a big surprise to anyone at Crystal Palace. So if you haven't done the work and you haven't done the research, at least, to find alternatives, then you've dropped the ball.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that a coach like Oliver Glasner would leave that to chance. I think he'll be all over it.